And let's see, live transcript. And Okay, welcome everybody. Glad you could join us again for another hopefully exciting meeting this morning. Glad to see you all. Let's see here. So as usual, our meeting, well, of course, today's the 25th. I'll have to post the upcoming meetings for next month. But glad to see you all continuing to participate with us. We have a great presentation scheduled with Erin Carr-Jordan, Director of Digital Equity Institute, and many other titles. Erin, I know that you're doing many things, but that's the one I picked for you. And again, just a reminder that after this meeting, that we will be doing our kibitzing with colleagues. Many of you have been participating, and that's an optional event. Afterwards, we stop recording and just have sharing. And so we may have 5 people, we may have 15 people, it may last 10 minutes or it may last an hour. So again, encourage you all to participate in our kibitzing. So let's see what else we got on the agenda for today. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors as always. Excuse me, Care First Arizona. Actually, let me do this. Okay, Care First Health Plan Arizona, the Satellite Broadcasters Association, Valley of the Sun United Way, Khajiit, and Triad Wireless. And again, we're looking for others to add to that list. So if you're interested, please join us. And let's see what else. So first of all, I don't know if he's going to be on the call this morning. I haven't looked at the list. Jeff, are you on the call? So many of you may know that Jeff's father passed away last week. So we offer our condolences to him and his family. And like I said, I don't know, haven't seen the list this morning. Doesn't look like he's here this morning. So in case you all didn't know that, you might want to send a note to Jeff. Do we have any new people who are joining us this morning for the first time? Going once, going twice. Okay. So again, just a reminder that if you want to know who's participating and you want to make sure that you're on the list, please use our Google form, fill out the form, and also see who is participating and how to connect. Now, again, as a qualifier, the list only includes those people who have taken the time to complete the Google form. So again, really encourage you to do that. So moving on, I want to talk about a couple of things, and I don't know why the polls is not working. I was going to do a couple polls this morning, but as you may recall, last week I talked about doing a networking event for the task force, and I want to share this with you if you didn't get a chance to take a look at it. This is an event we did actually just about a year ago, back in April of last year. We did a networking event, and I'm thinking that we want to do something similar. We can do this monthly, quarterly, whatever you folks are interested in. But we did a couple of things, and I'm interested in your ideas and formats before I confirm this. So first of all, we started with just let's get connected, just some large group sharing. Who are you? Tell us about your organization. And then we had 4 breakout groups in 2 sessions. So the first one was kind of, again, these 2 were simultaneous, was getting to know you, getting to know all about you, to share information and connect with each other and learn who's doing what. And then we had another session with two simultaneous sessions. One was on the state broadband plan, and the second was a discussion about municipal networks. And so that went, and it lasted just about an hour for all of that stuff. And so I'm interested in hearing from you about, is that a workable format for you? Do you have other suggestions? How would you like to see this structured? Secondly, are there some particular topics that you would most like for us to focus on? The third thing is, and I don't know why the poll is not working correctly, I wanted to know if you, what day of the week is best for you? And secondly, times. Is noon best for you, or 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock? And so I just want to open it up, get some input from you folks before we move on. So any thoughts, comments? Is that kind of a workable format for you? Hello?
I thought initially this was an in-person meeting, but you're saying this is another Zoom meeting.
No, this was not an in-person. This was an actual Zoom meeting.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So
yes, Steve, this is Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
I think it would be a good thing to do. I certainly not monthly for my mind. Quarterly would be maybe what I would suggest we try.
Okay, any other thoughts?
This is Lindsay Dietz. I think that quarterly should be okay, or maybe bi-monthly. We can start bi-monthly and see how it goes.
Okay.
And you know, I was reading in the chat box, anytime after 4 or 5, I think that it should be okay.
Okay, so later afternoon is better?
Yeah, I think so. The other thing is, you know, like who will be facilitating, you know, maybe just, and I know that that's more into the logistic, but you know, maybe we can come up with, you know, who will support you, you know, in getting some of these done, or what's the idea behind, or, you know, if there is a major goal. I mean, we want to know each other, we want to connect, but then maybe just having some, you know, like post-session type of discussion to plan the next one.
Sure. So, at least to answer your question, I think, is that depending on what topic we'd come up with, well, each of those sessions, I'd like to find a facilitator to help facilitate each of those sessions. And especially the topics, whatever topics we choose, that we would like to find a subject matter expert to help facilitate those discussions. And again, these were the ones we used last time. We may have different topics that you'd like to focus on this time. Any other thoughts, comments? Well, like I said, I was planning to do a couple polls here, but for some reason, the poll doesn't seem to be working correctly. So that's not going to happen. Anyway, any other thoughts, comments? Okay, I'm moving on. If you have any thoughts, please send them to me, let me know, and hopefully I can get this going. So what do you think? Do you think bi-monthly to start with? Would that be a good thing, or is that too much? Okay, and it will be my choice. All righty.
I think quarterly is winning in the chat, just FYI.
Okay. Okay. So
It is Monday, Steve. It's Monday. Everybody's just chatting this morning.
we have a consensus that we don't have a consensus. Is that it? So it looks like quarterly as you comment, it looks like that's maybe preference. So I'll take a look at that, and I'll get back to all of you and send out a plan and see if you all concur. Okay. So moving on this morning, again, I don't think Jeff is on the call this morning. we'll just jump into the, excuse me, the state library. Mala, if you want to start, please.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, I'm sorry, Mala, before we start, Mark, do you have anything that you're aware of that Jeff may have talked about today?
No, nothing to add
Okay,
in the last week.
okay. Okay, go ahead, Mala, please.
Okay, thanks. Funds for Learning is conducting the 12th nationwide survey of E-rate applicants, E-rate and ECF applicants. This is the 12th one that they're doing. The reports, the survey results are accumulated in a trend report, and it's really important for schools and libraries to take that survey, because the aggregated results will be presented to FCC in July. I will put a link to the survey in the chat after I'm done. Last year's trend report actually did make a difference to FCC's decision making on a variety of stuff. It showed, of course, that E-rate is fulfilling its mission. 97% of the applicants agreed that E-rate is vital, and that they expect the bandwidth needs to increase by almost 80% in the next 3 years. Of course, we've always been speaking about, especially here on AZBSN, about how prices were lowered, and those were all the impact of the wide E-rate applications and ECF applications. An important announcement was made last week by Office of Management and Budget, OMB, on April 18th. They issued a memo on Build America, Buy America guidelines. This is for any federal financial assistance program, whether it's through the Infrastructure Act or the Treasury funds or whatever. It is Buy America preference. This will bolster the industrial base, protect national security, as they say, and also support high-paying jobs. It'll increase the reliance on domestic supply chain rather than depend on supply chain issues from out of the country. So trying to make it more resilient, but it also makes it a little bit more challenging unless we plan ahead and try to make the Build America, Buy America guidelines work. ACP last week was a little slower. We usually have about 4,000 to 5,000 households that sign up. Last week, it was about 3,800 households that signed up. We are now at 253,000 households as of April 18th. We're still at number 12 in the list of American states that have signed up. And I want to remind you again that the ACP Media and Resource Toolkit is on connect-arizona.com. The site is getting better and better, and I do recommend that you look at the site and look at all the resources. There's a new Meet the Navigators button, and I'm sure if Nicole is on the call, maybe she could talk a little bit more about the site. But it's getting really good, and I recommend that you look at it. Emergency Connectivity Fund, we have the third ECF application window that's opening up soon. It runs from April 28th to May 13th. Again, to remind you, it is only schools and eligibles that can apply for this, and they can apply for devices, connectivity and devices capped at $400 per device, and Wi-Fi hotspots capped at 250 per hotspot. So those are all, I mean, that's the ECF fund. 13th wave has been approved and funds have been released. So far, Arizona has received $150 million in commitment as far as ECF goes. Don't have really much to report on the telehealth update, just stay tuned. We're planning our inauguration event in Pima County somewhere around June, mid-June. I'll keep you posted when we have more concrete details. There is, I'll put this in the chat. Broadband breakfast on April 27th is on new wires on old poles. Poles have been a topic of discussion in areas, especially in Arizona, because many of the places, especially the mountainous areas, it's hard to dig and fiber is being hung on poles. So who is responsible for upgrading those poles? How can they amend it, repair it? Can it hold the weight of the new pole, new fiber, all of those. So those who are interested, do attend broadband breakfast. This is every Wednesday on at 12 Eastern. So that's back to you.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that the Breakfast Club, you can actually get on their email list, if I'm not mistaken, and get notices of those meetings.
Can I make a request for the
Sure.
phone people to please mute? Because I'm here, there's a lot of background from the phone callers. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharika. Any questions from Mala? Holly, do you have any, I don't know if you're online. Do you have anything to add?
I'm online, but I don't have anything to add. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, so Nicole, are you online? Don't think so. So Cindy, you want to give us an update on what's happening with digital inclusion?
Sure. Yeah, not Can we make a request that whoever's at 1-928-714-6255 go on mute? Thank you.
Cindy.
So I had just a couple other numbers on the ACP for the whole US last week. 178,000 folks signed up, and interestingly, Tribal has been steadily adding 150 to 160,000 per week since the beginning of March. So we hadn't talked about that statistic before. Another interesting part, I went to I tried to do a sign up event at a resource fair over the weekend for ACP. And one of the things we noticed when the program was ongoing with EBB, there were a lot of mobile signups, and I noticed there was a booth at this resource fair with people signing up for Lifeline phones, and what they're doing is they're bringing these kind of off-brand tablets and spreading them out on the table and having people sign up for the ACP with Lifeline and passing out tablets, which is all well and good for people that for people to get services, but what we're concerned about is that they're kind of hijacking the pot out from under the idea of getting wired broadband to homes and giving discounts for that. So we're a little concerned about the direction that's going. So we're keeping an eye on that. And we're hearing about it across the country. It's not just Tucson that's happening.
Cindy, can I interrupt you for a second? So
Sure.
Is that those folks who are doing that, are those legitimate organizations? I had seen some stuff before that those were folks who were trying to steal contact information. Do you know anything about that?
it's hard to know. I mean, I don't exactly have an entree into that world. One of the things I noticed was that they were saying that they were, the tablets would only have service for a year. I know Lifeline requires you to re-up every year, so that may be what's going on. It's a blend where you get the Lifeline discount, and then you get the affordable connectivity discount at the same time. That the law was created that way. But you know, as whenever you create things, people find the loopholes and find their way in. You know, I think there are a couple companies called Assurance and Access, and they seem to be legitimate. They're on the ACP website. So yeah,
Okay.
we know as much as we can from the outside.
Okay. Anything else, Cindy?
And just a thought, we're talking about starting to organize around Digital Inclusion Week. That takes place in October, and we're starting to look at ways that we could do different events throughout the state to try and raise awareness about digital inclusion. And what was the other thing? Oh, and I wanted to ask Sharika to share about how her STEM event went over the weekend.
It was amazing. I don't have full numbers yet because I refused to go through any of the stuff yesterday, but I ordered 150 backpacks and I brought none home. So I have got between 150 to 200 students plus their parents, and the weather was great. God blessed us with great weather. So it was good. We had 13 vendors or 13 different activities, Intel, Collins Aerospace, Mesa Community College, so a lot of tables. So it was really, really good. And it was great to see the kids and hear their conversations, to eavesdrop about them talking about the different things. That's the best part, is their conversations. So I had a great time. Thanks for asking.
That's great. Back to you, Steve.
Okay, so to jump back up, Sandip, I saw that you're online. And again, I know Jeff obviously isn't here. Do you have anything about what's happening with you guys? Hello, are you there, Sandip? Okay. Okay, moving on, and I don't believe Janet is online.
Janet's here.
Oh, sorry, Janet, missed you. Go
Bonjour,
ahead.
bonjour. Thank you,
Oh.
Steve.
What's happening?
I had a couple of things I wanted to share. Our program, the Arizona Telemedicine Program, has announced the search for our new director. And if you know anybody who's an innovator and leader in the telehealth, telemedicine space, please let me know. I would love to connect them to that application. It's a national, probably international search. I
Got some
also
big shoes to fill with that position.
big darn shoes, big old shoes. And it is going to be a challenge. Next week is the American Telemedicine Association. So I'm thinking of that as our target market, because it's very important to us, having been well published in the leader in the field, that we have someone who is a leader in the field. So we're going to be doing some job searching next week, and it'll be a bit of a bittersweet memory, because there's people that we've seen every year for 25 years that obviously we haven't had a lot of contact with recently, physically, in the same room. So I'm really excited about being able to share a lunch and share information with people that are people who are our network of people. I also am very hopeful that whoever our new director is all about diabetes. This is my selfish thing that I shared with the search committee. We did great work in diabetes for about 10 years. We connected people at chapter houses and at the public library and at school libraries for Diabetes Day, and we put up a format with community health centers where all of the diabetes resources were focused one day per month or one day per year. And I presented on Friday to the Arizona Diabetes Coalition and tried to get them excited about some opportunities, the educational opportunities for us. We no longer provide any type of clinical services. Banner, of course, is the clinical service provider in terms of telemedicine in our neck of the woods. But, oh, thank you, John Kelly, for posting that. John Kelly's very good friends with Dr. Bernard Harris, who's a wonderful applicant, potential applicant. I hope he puts in his name in the hat. And I don't know the size of his shoes, but they're pretty darn big too. As a retired astronaut, he's a wonderful man. So the Diabetes Coalition is an interesting group of people, and I'm hoping that the Arizona Department of Health Services facilitates their quarterly meetings. And I met someone on last week's meeting on Friday who is an ASU researcher who's been doing quite a bit of research for 35 years in diabetes, and shared that she's made some amazing progress with the relationship of nutrition and vinegar. And, to share that type of information is really important, especially for patients, but for everybody who provides healthcare to those patients, or everybody has a friend or a family member. The other really exciting thing that I shared at the Diabetes Coalition, and that I'd like to share with you, I'll send the PDF in chat. It is just crazy. This new grant that came out, it's a HRSA grant, and it's specifically for community health worker training. It's to increase the number of community health workers. Up in the northern part of the state, we call them community health representatives, and they're also called CHOWs, community health outreach workers. But also in the south, we call them promotores, and these are the people who really help get people connected to healthcare. They're members of the community, and if someone needs transportation or babysitting or anything to access healthcare, these are the people who are on the front lines, and they play a really critical role. Well, to provide them training, this grant's amazing. There's no cost share required. The grant money can be used for travel, for equipment, for indirect costs to achieve your project goals. I mean, it's really amazing that the grants that are out there right now, and I do share every time I present. I've got a great Connect Arizona slide and direct people to those digital navigators and the great educational materials in Spanish and English with regards to the ACP program. It's amazing to me how many people still have not heard of this. And there are community health centers who, much like the scenario that Cindy described, when a community qualified health center actually does intake with new patients, the ones that we've been working with out in Yuma actually have the ACP application on their list of things to do, along with SNAP or Lifeline, and trying getting people to connected to any of the resources that they're qualified for. So I like putting those paper handouts on my table when I have an exhibit opportunity or a presentation opportunity, but I think it's also important anytime we can to share that website, because that's a one-stop shop for all these great digital resources that we can use to help get people connected to ACP. The other conference that I wanted to mention is coming up. The Arizona Rural Health Conference is in June, and I'll put that URL in chat also. It's the 48th annual. It's the longest standing rural health conference across the United States. And this is where we go every June to reconnect with friends and family, but also find out what's happening with regards to FQHCs, with regards to tribal entities. Everybody gets together and shares their best practices and what they've been up to. So it's a really great opportunity to catch up with what's happening all across Arizona. And I'll have all kinds of handouts in Spanish and English, you betcha, and did last year. And it's interesting because last year I did also find a lot of people who weren't familiar. And I think even though it's a little bit of the old fashioned way, I think if we give people a hard copy of the description of the ACP, that people can take that home or they can share it with their neighbors. And I think that we still get a lot of bang for our buck just by printing out those resources too. So I look forward to continuing to beat the drum. And I think that Arizona and particularly this group, there are a lot of people here who are so passionate about it. I think we've done an incredible job. And I look forward to continuing the good work. Thanks.
So actually, Janet, thanks for reminding me about the rural conference. Maybe we can work on having a table there. Or else collaborate with you or others to promote the task force also.
I always include in my slides as well a slide about this group and who we are, and then a second slide which directs people to the list, that great list that Mark cultivated of telecom and folks in our field who are consultants, because at some point people who are writing grants really need to know what it is that they need. and they might need that expert advice. So I think it would be worth having a table. And if that doesn't work out, I definitely can have some of those handouts available as well.
So Janet, are you doing a presentation?
I hope so. The call for proposals was due last Wednesday.
Okay. Okay, well, we need to follow up with that. So thank you for reminding me about that.
You bet. And I'm
Okay.
pumping stuff in chat right now. And next is the PDF on that HRSA grant. It's really amazing.
Super.
Thanks, Janet.
Any questions for Janet? Okay, moving on. Sophia, do you have anything that you want to report? I know Kelly's on the line. We'll get to her in just a moment.
Yeah, I won't steal any of Kelly's thunder, but just to re-up what Mala shared, I know Mylan is doing a training on the ECF window that is opening. If anyone needs that information, let me know. It did go out in the newsletter that Kelly sends, I believe, but I can also send it to anyone who wants that training.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't think, Mylan, you're not online, are you?
I don't think he is.
But Kelly, you are, and there you are.
Yes, I can be his proxy. So as Sophia mentioned, good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly.
Excuse me, Kelly, can you just tell people who you are?
Yep, I was just going to do it for the first
Oh,
time
sorry.
ever. No. I always forget. My name is Kelly. I work in the Office of Digital Teaching and Learning at the Arizona Department of Education. And I get to work closely with Mylan and Shelby. I think you all have met Shelby. So as Sophia had mentioned, Mylan and Shelby do have a training coming up this Thursday for schools and libraries, anybody essentially who is going to be filing for E-rate funds or ECF funds. And that will be, in fact, I think I don't have it right now, but I can plug in the registration link so that if there's anybody who wants to share that information, that's great. And Mylan, I'm sure you all know, is fantastic. And he will go through it step by step with anybody who wants to file that application. So that new window is open starting the 28th, and it's open for 3 weeks, which is great. We're very excited about that. And we're just trying to push that out to schools across Arizona. Trying to think of other updates. Mostly it's this new window. We're trying to get those details out. And then my office is, I'm sure you have heard in my updates a few weeks ago, we do host a technology town hall for schools once a month. And I know that we've got, for instance, I think Joy Whiting is in the call. And anyway, so I just want to put this announcement out for anybody who is on this call, who might be a superintendent or work at a school. We do host these monthly meetings. I'll put the link in the chat for the website so you can learn more details about it. But it's where this office will present to schools updates on what it is that we're doing, and then updates on potential solutions. And the schools have the opportunity to provide the feedback and the input on what this would actually mean, from the people who are the boots on the ground. So again, those are monthly, and I will put those details in the chat.
And you might, Kelly, also provide the link again for people who want to sign up for your newsletter.
Yes, great. All right, so I will be plugging in 3 links as soon as I stop talking.
I'll find the registration link, Kelly. You can do the one for your emails.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sophia.
So Kelly, I was just thinking, and we can talk some more about this, but we talked about this networking event, and maybe one of the breakout sessions could be on more discussion about how we can help you, what your needs are, and how we can help you with what you're trying to get done.
That would be great. I will share out that from the first technology town hall, and again, the goal here is to keep everything transparent and so that everybody can have access to this information. So we will be posting on our website the notes, the agendas, the minutes from these town halls, so that people can have an awareness of what's being discussed and what the biggest issues are. And I will say, from our first town hall meeting, cybersecurity was, took over and was essentially what we talked about. And we did have Ryan Murray from the Department of Homeland Security here in Arizona talking about some potential grants that might be coming in the new fiscal year. But this conversation truly was top of mind and is a big concern for schools. It's a big concern for everyone. And it's also a costly concern. So this is definitely something that our department is trying to work on. and, try to pull together ideas and resources and experts so that we can provide that to schools.
Cool. Maybe that's another topic for us is
It is.
cybersecurity.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
good.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Any questions for Kelly?
Yes, Kelly, this is Joy Whiting. Are you going to be having those town hall meetings over the summer, through the summer, or is it just during the school year?
I feel as though, great question. Feedback has been, please do not host one in July. That has been feedback we received from the first town hall. But the idea would be to host every month except for July and December. And like I said, I'll put those details into the chat, and then we're just trying to get the information out about this. Again, it's for school administrators and educators to participate in, and I'll plug all those details into the chat.
Thank you. Also, one other thing, I mentioned to the president of the Superintendent's Association about getting you on the agenda for May, but we're full. So she wanted to get your contact information so that we could get you on our agenda for August at a longer meeting. So I'll get your contact information and send it to her just so you know it's coming.
Great. I will send it to you in the chat as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And Kelly, I'd like to follow up with you later about your contact at Homeland Security. We wanted to have them present to this task force and haven't had great success in getting a response from them. So.
Okay. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. I don't believe Leah is on the line. Derek, I think you're there. Do you have anything that you want to share this morning?
I am here, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just say probably the most, the interstate projects are moving along on schedule as previously reported. Probably the most exciting thing to report is Pinal County Schools Education Consortium is live on Eduroam. Now, I want to clarify, no schools yet. That's actually the consortium office or the coordinator in Pinal, and so very close to being prepared to roll out to schools, kind of one at a time. So pretty exciting development last week. That's all I got this week.
Okay. So before we move on, Sandip, are you there now? Sandip, can you hear us? Okay. Moving on. Anybody have any updates on the Final Mile project? Going once, going twice, then I think we are done with our updates for today. So it's time for us to get to our presentation this morning, and want to introduce, and she's been participating fairly regularly with us, Erin Carr Jordan, who is, among other things, the executive director of the Digital Equity Institute. So Erin, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell people all the things that you're doing, and particularly about the Institute. And
Sure.
If you want to share, I'm going to stop sharing, and it's all yours.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me, Steve, and thanks so much for putting together the brief overview. I really appreciate that.
It was hard to get you, so.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm going to just apologize in advance. I'm working from home and my kids are getting ready to head to school. So if you hear some background noise, it's my kiddos and they're just getting ready to head out the door. So it is what it is. That's what working from home is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully that goes well. Let's see.
So while Erin is doing that, I just saw a note from Wes that he's actually online, but is having a microphone problem. So Wes, if you're going to be on later, maybe you can give us an update later.
Can you guys see the screen that reads Digital Equity Institute?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to walk through a brief overview, and I've had the great opportunity to talk with the overwhelming majority of people who are on this call. So if we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, please, I would absolutely love to. So feel free to reach out. My contact information is on what Steve shared, and also at the end of the presentation. So just briefly, the Digital Equity Institute is built by government to help government as we are moving forward as a state and as a collective to address digital equity and eradicate the homework gap, understanding that it's not just kids who are impacted, but that we need to address the full complexities of vulnerability in our state. So the why is because we need to make sure that every resident has access to the skills and resources that they need to be future job ready, and to make sure that everyone, regardless of their age, can fully participate in every aspect of society, democracy, and the economy. And the reason we're working with the governments is to make sure that we can win more federal grants and get access to additional sources of funding so that we can leverage economies of scale, and so that cities and municipalities can extend their reach and grow their impact and have more impact than if they were doing it alone. It's designed to be a tremendously unified and integrated approach that leverages the idea of coalitions, collaboration as a force multiplier, and really the idea that when we work together, we can accomplish so much more than when we're trying to do it alone. And to work collectively with the state and municipalities and cities to make sure that there is a living digital equity plan to address not only broadband and infrastructure, but that extends to the complexities of digital equity and the things that everyone on this call is already working around. And a deep recognition that the governance model that currently exists is challenging, and a framework that was established would struggle to meet the complexities of digital equity. And so if we are to accelerate innovation, to do this in a way that is tremendously scalable and reach the folks that we are trying to reach and implement the things that we are doing well, that we really do need a new governance model to do that. Like everyone on this call, we are working under the guidelines and the premise that the National Digital Inclusion Alliance sets the standard for this work, and that a strong digital inclusion ecosystem is inclusive of all of these things, whether it is access to programs that are working towards achieving digital equity, or helping individuals and communities and organizations access things like ACP and EBB, or providing digital skills and digital literacy programs, inclusive of all things like financial well-being and financial literacy, workforce development, 21st century skill building, and really creating a connection that goes from first access and not knowing and taking someone through the life course into a 21st century job. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a STEM job, but it is most certainly inclusive of STEM. And additionally, things like hardware and software programs and digital services, and again, really making sure that we're creating systems that are affordable, accessible, and achieve access and inclusion. This is the way that we sort of view, and I'm a hand talker, if you can see my hands too. I apologize because I'm flailing about a little bit. So this is the way that the current systems exist, right? We have people who are working to help people connect, people who are working to help make sure people have access to the devices that they need to do so, people who are working to ensure that skills are acquired, whether that be for young kiddos or our elderly populations or anyone in between, and then people who are working to support people who are doing this work. So this is a tremendous, I mean, as you can see, this is purposefully designed to look like silos. And that's challenging because often, unless people are on a call like this or part of another meeting, there isn't awareness or familiarity of the work that is happening around the state or in our counterpart organizations. And so fundamentally, that means there is a lack of connectivity, collaboration, and coordination with entities. Uh-oh.
Hey, Rob. Hi, Christine Quiddy there. I was calling about a couple things. So
somebody's on the phone. Just want to make sure you know so we can hear you.
Robert Gallegos, please mute.
Goodbye.
Just never want to listen into someone's call by accident.
Yeah, right.
And then also we recognize that systems right now are often inefficient and really expensive. And, you know, because of those things, they're unsustainable and unscalable over time. Often we have, and you know, you can see in this space, we have cities that are trying to provide to households, but because of the transient population and because someone might live and work in a different city, fundamentally services are provided. Here we go. So this is one person might have services that are provided by the city, the county, the state, federal agencies, community colleges, K-12, nonprofits, religious organizations. Oops, sorry about that. Corporates, the Department of Economic Security, and ACA. So this is all one household that is accessing all of these different services, which is challenging and unnecessarily complex. And the other things that we recognize that we are hoping to address is that programs are expensive, that business models, as I described earlier, are broken, that because we don't have aggregated demand, philanthropic investment and investment from other sources is often disincentivized. That continued siloed efforts and siloed work of organizations who are absolutely incredible, because they're working in silos, their ability to scale is often limited. Again, the transient nature of populations makes the continuous and effective service delivery really challenging because people are moving often, and we have a crisis in housing right now. So that just adds to the challenges that we're trying to face. And then the state lacked an executive champion who was doing the work. And so this is what it looks like when an individual city is trying to do this alone. So first, you have to hire a digital equity director and build a digital equity plan and get navigators, hire those navigators, train the navigators, purchase hotspots, data plans, devices, develop literacy curriculum, make sure it's available in all of the necessary languages, figure out a way to deliver that curriculum, and recognize that more than one organization is going to deliver the curriculum. Work with the community, engage the community, address all of the complexities of individual community vulnerability, and be able to measure how you're doing. And for each individual city to try to do this alone is just untenable. And to do it in a way that's maintainable over time is really challenging. So we built the Digital Equity Institute as a 501c3. We stood it up to help the governments aggregate the work that they're doing and to take in multiple funding streams to recognize that if we can aggregate that, we can work towards economies of scale. It's also to build a really purposeful shared service delivery model so that we can break down the silos and build up partnerships and amplify the work of organizations across every sector who are doing tremendous work every single day, and to create an equitable model for all communities to participate. So recognizing that the work that's happening in the most remote parts of Arizona, in the rural parts of Arizona, and within our cities, they're all tremendous, and they are all achieving success in the work that they're doing. So understanding the lessons learned from those and identifying the barriers and challenges that they've had to address, and using those really to create systems of knowledge sharing so that everyone can fully participate and so that we can address some efficiencies and reduce some of those redundancies is really foundational to the work that we're doing. And again, working towards aggregating demand so that we have a scalable marketplace. So we're going from this essentially to this, a space where all of this is happening simultaneously, where not only are we working to address the needs of connectivity around broadband and infrastructure and being super adaptive in the way that we're doing that, but we're also working with organizations who are doing equipment, connecting those to the broadband folks and making sure that the people who are working around devices are working collectively with the folks who are doing literacy support, all while making sure that there is an ecosystem built to support everyone along the way. So it looks sort of like this, if we're looking at a picture. Basically, it is bringing all of the organizations into one entity in a way that then creates an overlay of data collection and an understanding of how things are going. The Institute itself is contributed to by lots and lots of people, and certainly everyone on this call is welcome to engage. But part of understanding how we're doing as a state and how we're doing in individual cities and communities is really starting to data collect and to create a monitoring and evaluation system that ingests that data in all its forms, whether it be from informal interviews or focus groups or qualitative or quantitative surveys. We really need to begin to assess how things are going and create ecosystems where we can pivot. And again, go back to that idea of knowledge sharing so that as we're decision making, we're doing it in as well informed a way as possible. And deep community engagement and community listening and co-creation and collaboration. All of that is the foundation under which the connecting, equipping, skilling, and supporting exists. Looks like this. I won't run through this, but essentially once we have the ecosystem created, we can, regardless of the city, the county, the space, the organization, the sector, it creates the opportunity to really create ecosystems of equity for every household, regardless of the number of people, the age of those people, where they happen to live across the entirety of the state, really to create deep and meaningful access. It's all built around the idea of partnerships and that we are engaging the folks across every sector who are doing this work and doing it well, and making sure that they are fully engaged. One of the partners that is our founding partner is an Intel-led group. I'm sure lots of you are familiar with them. It's N50. N50 is a consortia of global organizations who are all self-identified as contributing in the digital equity space. They include everyone from WWT to ASU, Geeks Without Frontiers, the Barbara Bush Foundation, learning.com. All of these are also our partners. N50 is one of our doing arms to make sure that the work that we're doing is scalable. And again, we're pulling from best practices that have worked in other parts of the world, in other states, in Arizona, making sure that if there's something that is going well, that we're learning from it. Essentially, the better able we are to collect data, any kind of data, the better able we are then to take that data and make it available to all of you. The flywheel, once we get going, things will get better. And essentially it's all designed to start around the idea of collaboration, to intake the money and everything necessary to create the ecosystems of support, provide all of the things that are necessary that finally end in full economic impact and social impact for the state and a digitally skilled workforce over time. We created this thing, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking so quickly. We created this thing, it's called the Digital Equity Success Kit, the DESK model. Essentially, it is a full package of all things that are available to learners to help them succeed. These are particularly for younger people, but they certainly extend to the members of our older communities as well. I spoke already about the desire to make sure that we're collecting data. Inclusive or included in that is broadband mapping and some speed testing. And we're currently beginning to work with a few cities to identify test populations for that work, so that as we reflect back to the government how things are going, that we have the most up-to-date data that we can provide to them. That then opens the opportunity for Arizona to get access to the dollars that we need. This is actually our dear friend Derek's space, and he is one of our greatest champions. He's also on the board of the Institute, and part of what we're doing is creating the reference architecture and the ecosystems to make sure that we're addressing everything around infrastructure, inclusive of security and privacy, sustainability, management, operations, and all of that, to make sure that what we're doing, again, is safe, and that we can meet the needs of everyone across the entirety of the state. I already walked through this. Skill building, as I already shared. I will add that, and I've talked with quite a few people who are on this call about this, as we start to think about connecting everyone, that was the primary goal for a long time. And there have been champions of this work who have been for a long time leveraging their unique superpower and skill to make sure that we were creating systems where everyone could get access to the internet. That conversation has now expanded and pivoted to be inclusive of like the then what. And that's all the things that everyone on this call talks about regularly. It's the equipping, the skilling, and supporting. But in addition to that, it's safety. It's making sure that as we do that, we are paying attention, and it is top of mind that when we create access, that we provide those mechanisms, or that those mechanisms that ensure everyone is protected and safe when they are connected. It is essential. It is an integral element of getting this right and being an ethical and good contributor in this space. So it is top of mind in what we are doing to make sure that, you know, if we create systems where people are getting access to the internet and then they get the devices and then they're becoming digitally skilled, that simultaneously we are informing them about what kind of things they need to do to protect themselves, becoming aware of systems that are potentially problematic, because fundamentally the people that we're intending to serve are vulnerable and at risk. So if we don't do that, shame on us. So it's deeply, deeply woven, and it's important to mention it here, that is not only part of the model, it is an integral part of the model. And then similar to that, one of the things that we found to be innately scalable is a digital navigator program. And so what we have done is collaborate with Arizona State University. They have a program, they have a team out of the Experience Center that handles calls from the more than 150,000 students who are just beginning at ASU. They also help the state in other ways to address tech support issues and some other things where they can call in and speak to a person. And so we reached out to them and said, we think that skill is incredibly well leveraged in a digital navigator space. And so we created a mechanism where with the Experience Center now can handle up to 1 million calls in a digital navigator program. That the intention of doing that is not only to train those folks who are already well versed in providing service around tech support, but also to give them the guidance that they need to be able to work with the communities and to be responsive to the uniqueness of individual communities, but simultaneously to create space where humans can do the deeply human work in a community liaison way. So digital navigators can do the scalable things. And again, under the premise that if we're using the NDIA model here, that we're doing it in the best way that we possibly can, but also that we're creating space where we can actually be in the community, and the partners with whom we're working, more importantly, can have the space to work directly in the community in the ways that are most meaningful and responsive to that community. And then again, just measuring success, making sure that in collaboration with our cities and the state that we're identifying those metrics that actually help us know whether the things that we're doing are working and whether we're positively contributing in the work that we're doing is really meaningful. It is essential. So these are just a couple of the KPIs that we use when we talk with cities and the state. Those KPIs are determined in part by them, but also in collaboration with the organizations with whom we work and the communities to make sure that we're really measuring the things that we're hoping to achieve, that we're not just applying a blanket over everyone and saying, we want to measure this, but rather to say, here's what we know success looks like in this individual community in this part of the state. Again, leveraging insights from other parts of the state and around the country to make sure that what we're assessing actually makes sense. This is just an example. I don't know that I really need to share this. We're working with the city of Phoenix right now and the Edison East Lake project. I don't know that I need to share this with you guys, but basically we're providing all of the things that we talked about here. And here you go. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Also, Derek, I'm sharing your information here as well. But thanks so much for inviting me to present. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna end that, stop sharing. There you go.
Awesome stuff, Aaron. Awesome stuff.
Thank you so much. And we are working with quite a few of the folks on this call and would be absolutely thrilled to connect with anybody who would like to.
And how do they do that, Aaron? They contact you or Derek? I can't hear
I
you.
muted myself as I was answering you. Sorry about that. Yes, please. Here, I will put my email in the chat and my cell phone number. Steve, you shared it.
Yep.
And feel free to reach out to me in any way. If you prefer text, feel free to text me. If you want to email me, feel free to email me. If you want to call, that's fine too.
Okay.
Hi, Aaron. This is Mauricio. I was wondering who your ideal audience be for you to do something similar that what you did with us. That's not part of this group. Is it mostly like county governments? Who's your ideal audience?
Sure. I'm actually sharing this with anyone who's asking. We presented to the Maricopa Association of Governments, sure. But really anyone who plays a role in any of those, I mean, if you're in the support, equip, skill, or support group, we would love to talk to you. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not intending to supplant anything. Our goal is to create the ecosystem where everyone can fully contribute. So if you're in a space that makes sense, I'm more than happy to have a conversation and to talk to anyone who would like to.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, Aaron. This is Joy Whiting. Jeff Sabaka has repeatedly told me I need to get with you, and now I can see why, and it's my fault for not reaching out sooner. But I really do need to have a very granular discussion with you about all this information for Apache County. We have no higher ed institution designated for Apache County. We have no community college. We're in a co-community transition with SRP. I've been meeting with them. Chris Myers, I'm not sure how to say her last name, was in St. John's last week. And she talked about a coalition within ASU, I believe, that's designated for coal communities. Do you know anything about that, or how we could tap into that a little bit more?
Sure, absolutely. I can help you find that information.
So I'm going to have to schedule just a separate meeting offline with you, because I really would love a partnership with ASU. This is so exciting. I love everything ASU does. So this is great. Thank you.
And there's a lot of folks on this call. We are also engaging NAU and U of A and our community college systems. It is really a consortia.
Perfect. That's even better.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And ASU is amazing. It is. I'm the head of social impact over there. So yes, and absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
Janet.
and Joy, just for clarity, was that Chris Mays that was up there?
Yes.
Yeah,
so the ACE. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
She's a former corporation commissioner and chairwoman. She invented the renewable energy standard all over the country. Now she's running for attorney general, I think. But she's a total rock star in this space.
We were expecting a political speech in St. John's, but it really wasn't about that. She really was there representing, I think, ASU and the coal community transition space. And so, yeah, we really appreciate the work that she's done so far, and we're hoping to be able to continue working and get the transition for there's just a lot of moving parts right now that are going on. SRP is involved. ACC is coming to St. John's and holding a town meeting this week. So there's a lot of things happening, and we'd really love to get as many connections as we possibly can. Was this Derek? I'm sorry, I'm on my cell phone. Is this Derek that asked that question?
No, it was Kirk. Sorry, Joy.
Oh, Kirk. Yeah.
I've been working with Chris for a long time. She's awesome, and that's why she's a bad politician. She didn't give you a campaign speech. She stayed focused on the issues.
Yeah, she did. It was great.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to report back when we meet next. We're having a dinner tomorrow evening, and quite thankfully, we have Biden's new appointee for Digital Equity Director. Her name is Angela Kai Bennett. She's coming. She's one of our speakers. Also, Angela Seifer from NDIA, the brilliant and wonderful Angela Seifer is our keynote speaker. Jeff is also speaking at the event, as is Lev Gonick. and some other incredible folks, and we're just thrilled to have them. So I'm happy to share back next week after that event. I think a few of you are coming with us. It should be a fantastic evening and some great conversation, more importantly, about the work that everyone is doing and how we can work together.
Okay, any other questions for Erin? Okay, thank you, Erin. I'm glad we finally could connect with you.
Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it, Stephen, for your patience.
Busy person. So Wes, I see you're online now. Do you have anything that you want to say about what's happening with the Final Mile project? Can't hear you. No microphone. Dang technology. Okay.
Steve, just really quickly, I do know a couple of the schools that were awarded Final Mile projects in Apache County. I don't know about the rest of them, but the two of them that were awarded Final Mile projects, the bidding process has closed and the carriers were chosen, which from my small limited amount of understanding means I think they can start actually doing something now with infrastructure or assets or whatever it is they need to do. So as far as Apache County goes, we're really excited that those two school districts are going to get some movement with some broadband in very short-term solutions.
Cool. Okay, so Joaquin, is that your name, Joaquin? And you are who?
Yeah, so thank you for that. You're pretty close. Joakim with a hard K. It's Swedish. Blame my parents. Feel free to call me Jay.
Okay, and so who are you with, Jay?
So yeah, so I was invited to join this fantastic group. I'm with the Swedish American Chamber of Commerce.
Right, I remember now. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, and we have some members who are heavily involved in digital broadband, satellite communication, bridging the digital divide. So that's why I'm on this call, to understand more about the landscape here.
Great. And I understand that you're doing some pretty interesting stuff that we'd like to hear about at some point.
I'm happy to present to the group if you feel that I can bring any value. Yes.
That'd be awesome. Great. And,
Thank you.
And Kim Tate, do I know who you are? Kim, are you there? No, apparently not. Okay, well, anybody have anything else that they want to share? Any announcements? Anything we need to know about? Oh, so Kim is saying she's having problems also. So we'll hear from you. Kim, do you want to put your contact information and who you are in the chat, please? If you can hear me. And let me see if I can unmute you. No. Okay, so Kim is saying she's with NACOG and wants to know how they can help their seniors. So anything else anybody else wants to share? Any questions, comments? If not, I believe we are done for today. Shelby, I see you're online. Before we go, I know Mylan's not here today. Did you have anything else besides what Kelly's talked about?
No, just that ECF training. They did award on the Final Mile, Sonoyta, Topic, St. John's, Vernon, and I guess Quartzsite backed out of the project. So they did name the winning vendors this week, and I know we're gonna start our project managing calls with them to kind of get things up and rolling.
Okay, thank you, Shelby. By the way, for those who don't know, Shelby is with the Arizona Department of Education and is a collaborator with Mylan. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and anybody who wants to stay online for a little while, you're welcome to do so.